for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good yawning this morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Thursday, the 28th. Sorry, it's Wednesday, the 27th of May. These public holidays make me feel like I have an actual job to forget when to go, but it is Wednesday, the 27th of May, 2026. You are on the clock with Erin Traffic Czar Greene. It was either Traffic Czar or Megaphone. I like Erin Megaphone Greene. Traffic Czar, though, has a ring to it. Good morning. Welcome to On the Clock. This intro is brought to you by the two near head-on collisions that I had yesterday afternoon on the way home. This was after I observed the police truck just, sliding through the pedestrian crossing as the pedestrians waited to cross, after a vehicle right in front of them did the same thing. This was after that. Yesterday was boat day. On boat day, people lose their minds. They literally lose their minds. Because for you to run a red light in the midst of flowing traffic at Church and Bay suggests insanity. To the man in his truck who thought he was going to cut all out in front of me from Church Street, turning right on red, despite the fact that there was nowhere for him to go except into my car with his truck. Did I frighten you with my megaphone? Can you imagine how other drivers felt when you decided you was just going to push through your red light to cut across 3 lanes of traffic to go to the dock? That's not the only one. So after the texter said, did you see that accident on Village Road? I had to go see that accident on Village Road. Let me just say to the person who punched a hole through Bahamas National Trust wall and knocked down what appears to be a great Alexander palm. Are you okay? Have you ever tested your forehead for military purposes? What do you all be doing in these vehicles? And I say that, I want to say disrespectfully as you road users are. They punched a hole in the wall and dropped one of the biggest palm trees that exists in this country into the road. And then after that, heading back north to Village Montague Eastern Road, I was faced with a car coming up the northbound lane, coming up the northbound lane as I was entering it. Then this morning on East Street, in view of police headquarters, a young man was angrily walking his bike down the middle of the road. He almost got knocked. Fortunately, I drive with sense, and I use my turn signal. and I stop before turning just to ensure that there are no cars riding too close to the vehicles in front of them that I may not see as I begin my turn. Dear Commissioner of Police, I don't know what y'all doing, but it ain't making no sense. We thought that when we told you that the officers you assigned to patrol, community patrol, patrolling the streets, are patrolling the streets with their windows up. Y'all didn't think that was a problem. That's the first indication of a problem. Why y'all trying to make me a school teacher? To have to repeat things over and over again like year-olds who require that type of rote and ritual. Dear Commissioner of Police, the people you call your peers, the people who serve under you, the people who sit next to you in church, they've lost their minds. See, but until you acknowledge that it is a crisis, it will remain the same, or worse, it will get worse. It is a mockery at this point. The number of people who run Peck Slope stop sign right next to Government House, now that the Eastern Gate is functional and can easily cause an accident, because Peck Slope and East Hill Street is a blind spot. But it's okay, because the people park religiously encroaching on Parliament Street despite the clearly marked lines in the road indicating it's no parking. They park on the pedestrian crossing. Officers drive past there regularly and do nothing. They do nothing to the people who are double parked on the other side of the road. They do nothing to the people that run all of the stop signs there. They do nothing to the people who don't use their turn signals. And let me tell you all something, dear young people, it's exam time. Let me tell you this, since the adults are not telling you this. Do not trust a person who does not use their turn signal. Do not trust a professional that does not use their turn signal. You must use other indicators to determine whether they have sufficient sense for you to follow them. It may seem simple. It is simple. You're required by law to use the turn signal. The social contract that we all sign when we get on the road together suggests that you use your turn signal so people could prepare themselves to accommodate you on the roadway. Dear young people, since nobody wants to teach you anything directly and you've been left to absorb what sense you can discern from the world around you, don't trust people who don't use their turn signals. Don't trust people that run stop signs. Don't trust people that run stop signs and pretend like there was no stop sign there. Do not trust people that run red lights, and do not trust people that run red lights and then turn and look at you and say, what red light? Don't trust them. If they happen to be your parents, it's now for you to start figuring out how you're going to talk to your parents about what it means to be a good citizen. But frame it like you need their help, because they're sensitive. In fact, they're in crisis because they're running red lights with you in the car with them. So understand, the people them in crisis, and it requires all of us to do just 2% more. If we could all just do 2% more of the things we know we ought to do when we know we ought to do them, we'd be headed in the right direction. Thank you for taking this time with me this morning. My afternoon was devastated by the number of near misses that I encountered on the road after a show about traffic. Now, joining me in studio this morning, a show that I've been looking forward to. The first segment, we have St. Joseph's Parish. Their bazaar and raffle was postponed due to the election. That little pesky political class, they hog up so much space. But now they're back to tell us what the new date is when you could oil up your knees for the bouncing castle. And then after that segment, we have, I want to get the name correct because I'm so excited about this show. Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III will be joining us to discuss his contribution to the discussion on policy, politics, and people. I mean, the gambling situation and the largest cabinet in the history of the Bahamas. Good morning, St. Joseph's. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Erin, Megaphone Greene.
Thank you. Now, see, St. Joseph's Parish have a message. I hope you all have a megaphone, at least one, so you could round them little children up and say, let's go. We're getting ready to learn how to love and live in community and faith.
Yes, definitely.
Morning, all morning Bahamas, morning Erin. So here I am. My name is Chandrise Ferguson. I'm the president of our parish council, and I'm here with Aubrey, who is our youth leader. And our message is our motto: to love, witness, evangelize, and serve. And we are happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation to promote our annual bazaar, which will now be held in about 2 weeks on Saturday, the 13th of June, from 12 noon to 10 p.m. And we have a lot of great prizes on our raffle stalls that Leandra and I will be happy to discuss with you, and anything else you might want to know about St. Joseph's.
Where do I get raffle tickets?
Okay, so we have raffle tickets I can get some to you. Unfortunately, I've had a busy week, but we have our church, which is right down the street. Our office is open from 9:30 to 3:30, and they have raffle books there. So you can just call our church office. I'll give you the numbers and contacts, or you can get from myself. I'm right down the street. I work nearby. I can always drop it off to you. There are more raffle tickets available. So we have many means. We have a hard-working raffle committee. Also, they're delivering tickets wherever they're needed and still out working and selling in the general public. So many ways.
And also come to the bazaar, because raffle tickets will be for
available
sale on the grounds
until
the time of the drawing. So definitely come out and get your raffle ticket.
What's the time of the drawing?
So the drawing is going to be at the end at 10 p.m.
At 10 p.m. Now, what if I'm not there? What if I had to go home and catch sleep for church the next morning? Is my raffle ticket still good?
Oh, yes, the raffle tickets are still good, and we would have ran some announcements to advise the public that it's postponed. So hold on to those tickets. They're actually good for 3 months after. But if you are the wonderful winner of our grand prize, which is a 2026 fully loaded Jator X50 SUV, everything is paid for other than you have to insure and license it, considering what you spoke about our roads. So, you go out and do that. But that is our grand prize. And so we would probably sell tickets up until about the hour before, because, they have to be folded, put in a barrel. And the grand prize winner, we call that night, so we don't have you having a restless night. All the other winners would be notified by the following Monday, once everyone is back in the office. But we have the results immediately that night for all the winners.
Okay, I like this. Now, for the kiddies, what do we have for the kiddies?
We have lots of fun things for the kitty. We have kitty rides. We have a photo booth and balloon that you can go. You can get some family photos.
Nice.
There's pizza and sweet treats, because who doesn't love a sweet treat? We have ice cream, wings, fries, bakery, punch bowl, whatever you name it, we got.
Y'all have them buy them from the mall that have the animals you could ride. If not, I can call Sawyer Boy. He's supposed to be bringing me back 2 months from Long Island.
Them. They call them the Zoomies.
Yeah.
We have them for the young and the young at heart. So from the little ones, say about 2 to 3, however they could sit on it, to the us who are still big kids, we'll have them for that. Those
this is good, because the Long Island people say, Sawyer, you can't sell Miss Greene a mutton until she test drive it. So Sawyer, you could come see me test drive the Zoomie at the St. Joseph's Bazaar and raffle, so you could tell the Long Island people I could handle it.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Exactly. Now for the older people, what you have in store for us? Okay,
so it's like Leandra said, it's fun, family fun for all. So whether you want to just come and, people just come we're known for our wonderful food. So for example, we have it used to be called home cookery, but it's called Joy's Delightful Dishes, and that's being run by Mrs. Joy Thurston, one of our parishioners. She's a restaurant owner, and her family that will have fish, chicken, and succulent steaks. Then we have our jerk pit. So we have jerk chicken, jerk pork. We have roasted corn. This is run by some wonderful ladies who it started as a mission. They run our soup kitchen, which is a weekly service to our community and outreach, and to help raise funds, they started this roasted corn stall, and they call themselves the Corn Ladies, I believe. I don't want to mess it up, but it's Rita Ramsey, Simone Ramming and Alexis Curry are the main leaders. And any type of corn you want, but I say hundreds of flavors, they'll put that together. Then, like Leandra said, also some of the newer stalls we have, we're trying, some of the new stuff like pancakes or waffles and wings and fish.
Okay.
And then we have the wings. Of course, we have conky fritters. We have different persons doing that. We have corn dogs, which, you don't always get, but we have that at our fair. And then we also have snow cones. We have daiquiris, of course, unleaded or maybe something.
Unleaded or unleaded.
Yes. And then we have a special booth, say if you want to come and just relax. It's called the Grown. That's for the grown folks, so they could come relax it out there. And that'll have various things going on. Then, of course, we have the fun favorites like bingo. And then we even have kids bingo. We have hoopla.
Okay, there we go. Hoopla. There we go.
Yeah.
You have the used bookstore?
So we have a bookstore run by Dr. Rhonda Chipman Johnson, who also is doing the hoopla. And, Rhonda is an educator, so she is going to have nice books because, she believes in a lot of the old school, so you don't always want these devices. We're going to have books, nice quality books. We're also going to have a store called Nice Things, so, nicely kept clothing that people
generally
use, correct. So a whole variety.
If you're trying to step up your philanthropist game right now, right, in the midst of the election season, come out to St. Joseph's Parish, right? Stop at the bookstall. Buy a bunch of books for the children's residential homes, for the elderly residential homes, for the community park libraries, for the public school libraries, right? Come and support St. Joseph's. That's one tick. And then make a donation to another worthwhile entity. That's 2 ticks already on your philanthropist card. You only need 10 ticks to qualify as a philanthropist every year.
Wow.
You only need to give, you can't give everything.
No.
And I think that's what sort of prevents people from giving, is they feel like if they can't give everything, then it's not worth it.
Right.
But every little thing counts.
Correct.
Because children and people appreciate every little contribution you make to their lives. Right. Okay, now, this is your major fundraiser for the year?
Yes, that's correct. That is correct.
Now, how can I donate to this event, and how can I continue to donate to St. Joseph's Parish throughout the year? Okay,
so we have our office, which I indicated. The office hours are 9:30 to 3:30. The phone number is 323-5993. We also have social media presence, and in terms of that, that has grown in the last 5-6 years. It kind of grew out of COVID, so we are present on Facebook, Instagram, also TikTok, yep. And so you'll see information on our parish. We do masses weekly in terms of recording. We're one of the few churches. Our worship services are we have 2 online. Yep. We have 2 services on Sunday, and so there's information on that media platform as well as to how you can contact the church. And if you want to give us your information, we'll take it, and someone will also reach out to you. Can I ask you a question, just very quick before we sort of transition? Do you have any experiences of people who do online church, but they get dressed up as if they're going to the physical location to partake in the service? So I would say now for our people, and I know when we came and you were talking about like our seniors and elderly, a lot of them, because they're not able to come out, they watch church online, but generally our people, St. Joseph, in terms of our church, it's been around from 1934. A lot of our community people like to be present, and so I would say only really people who can come to church don't. And then also, we have communion, which we have in church that we do in terms of as a part of the Mass. Someone wants to come right, and that. Only really people who can come. We actually also have an outreach called Eucharistic Ministry where we visit sick and shut-ins, but our whole worship is around the Mass, which is communal, and we try to encourage people to be present. Listen, I love this. A part of the conversation I'm going to have with Anku Sarah, I hope also captures this phenomenon that's happening in the Bahamas
I'm sure regionally to some extent, but definitely in the global north, right? And we've taken on a hyper-individualism, right? I think it is detrimental to young people because they require community for optimal human development at these stages, right? Like there's periods for solitude, there's periods for hermitage, right? Like you're going to become a hermit. You take a sabbatical from the broadest community is so important. And I think it's important for people to also realize that people who go into solitude or take on a hermit, I would say, posture, right? That they don't actually disconnect from the world around them, but they have to create space in between them and the world around them so that they can connect better to the broader world. So I think it's so important for us to be preaching community to young people at this time.
Yes.
So everybody, let's give them the last word. Come out and join St. Joseph's Parish on Saturday, the 13th of June.
Right.
Yes, exactly 12 noon to 10 p.m. Boyd Road. We're excited to have you and come join us.
And come join us. And you give me a little second. We also have great entertainment.
Yes.
We're going to have the Urban Renewal Band. We're going to have
the Defense Force
Band and Barabbas and
Rush Out.
the Tribe, who are also, they've been in our community.
Yes.
So we have a connect. So it's going to be a great day for the whole family, young and old.
Now, Barabbas and the Defense Force Band, y'all see the Urban Renewal Band coming for y'all, right?
Well, all of them have their time slot. So
I saw them at the Agribusiness Expo, the Urban Renewal Band. They were excellent. First of all, you can listen. If you're having a hard time in life, you need to see some shorty boys and girls them handling the equipment, the big instruments, and making a mighty sound. I can't wait to see the Urban Renewal Band again. Defense Force Band, y'all always on it, and Barabbas.
Yes.
You know, use the king.
Yes. So anytime, say that afternoon, we're gonna have most of the activities, say from about 3 onwards into the evening hours. You know, Junkin will close it out with the night. Once night falls, with the band will be around 5 o'clock, and lots of other great things to do. Just come out. Is a way people come together, whether it's that community we've always served, whether it's Shippingham, Baintown, Fort Charlotte, and wider community. We have people living now out east, out far as Coral Harbor, but all connected to St. Joseph and the wider community.
Absolutely. And as we talk in community, I want to share this message that's shared with us from the SuperValue family. It is with a heavy heart that I regretfully announce the passing of our founder, Mr. Rupert Roberts, Jr. Mr. Roberts passed away prayerfully and peacefully this morning. He was the heart and soul of the company, still very active in the daily operations of SuperValue until his passing. We extend our condolences and support to the family. May he rest in peace and rise in glory. I wanted to share that with the community because Mr. Roberts ensured that charitable community organizations could use his space to sell raffle tickets, to share their word or their message. And that is a real community member. So we share in condolences, extending condolences to the family of Mr. Roberts and to the entire SuperValue family.
Yes.
It is a community.
And we extend condolences because same thing like you've indicated for many years. They provided that space even this year in different locations. So
that's how I found out about this year's raffle, right? SuperValue.
Yes.
And so, again, we extend condolences. Ladies, thank you very much. Now I got to get to some rowing. I mean, I don't row with Brother Anku, you know, but there's a time when we get together with a joyous combustion, and I hope that time is today. You guys stay tuned to On the Clock with Erin Greene, and write this number down, 323-5993. That's how you're going to get your raffle ticket from St. Joseph's Parish for the Bazaar and Fair, Saturday, the 13th of June.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Beulah gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood.
We now large and in charge, so we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too?
Of course we can.
But we could be in deep trouble if they find out. We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami. So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles.
Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas. And everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal.
So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
Good morning. Welcome back to On the Clock with Erin Greene, the second segment of the show. I didn't realize I was busy making magazines yesterday while Mr. Anku Sarah was on the airwaves engaging you critically about the things going on around you. But when I saw the statement that Anku Sarah, Cleveland Eneas III, released to the public with the title, What the Bahamas Christian Council Just Doesn't Get, I thought, man, this is a conversation that I want to have on the show. I wanted to start the show with the question, but I didn't want to rile my audience up without being able to take their call. What do we worship in the Bahamas? Because you see, the Christian Council has positioned itself, even in this most recent iteration, as, and I'm going to take a excerpt from the article, One Voice, One Church, One Nation, Nassau Guardian, 30th of April, 2026. Pastor Mario Moxie, recently elected as Bahamas Christian Council president, says, but he said they want to be more proactive by putting programs and policies in place. He also goes on to say, Moxie said the BCC's primary purpose is to raise the moral compass of the nation and that the organization exists to advise the government on issues of morality in the country, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what the Christian Council is be doing, but while they be doing whatever they be doing, I think we've had a massive shift in culture. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we can continue to say that we are a Christian nation where the lived evidence, right, that which we see with our eyes and hear with our ears, suggests to me that the hierarchy of worship has shifted entirely. At this point, I think we worship in money, then power, then politics, then God, then sex. Mm. And I put sex under God because we slaves to sex, but we stay negotiating with God.
Well, this is the book of Good morning, Guardian Radio. My name is Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. I'm the head priest of the Holy Coptic Church of the Black Messiah here in Nassau, Bahamas. The book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 4 says, Satan, who is the God of this world? Mm-hmm. When you asked that question, you said who we worship or
what do we worship?
We worship? We worship the systems that have been put in place to oppress us. Mm-hmm. We worship the images, we worship the interpretations, we worship, or the misinterpretations, the mistranslations of what have been put in place to ultimately control us. Mm-hmm. And that's why we get the results that we get. You understand? And so what I wrote was, I saw the comments being made about people cussing out the Bahamas Christian Council or Mario Moxie, and I decried that, right? Mm-hmm. That shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. We don't have to curse people out or speak ill of them to speak to them. Mm-hmm. You understand? Now, of course, since I put this up, there are people who have reached out to me and said, as far as they're concerned, them people is just influences or PLP trolls or whatever, and I get all of that.
Yeah.
You understand? I know there's a political narrative or political spin because anything that anybody says against a policy that the current administration puts in place, there will be people to speak out against it. I get that. That wasn't what this piece was speaking to. This piece was speaking in large part to the fact that the Bahamas Christian Council and the church at large, it's losing its relevance because it lives in a day and time where we have what's called we live in the infant age. So a pastor can no longer get away with just speaking off the top of his head or her head and people not investigate what they're saying. And so if the church is going to remain relevant, the church must study to show itself approved. The church must acknowledge the sins of the church, that the Bahamas Christian Council, as well as all of the pastors that are part of the council or not a part of the council, have built a foundation on.
So when I was reading your piece, I noticed that you used the church in parentheses, quotation marks, right? The church. And then when I read the sort of first statement by the new president of the BCC, you know, he says, I have it marked out in red so I could remember it, but it says one voice, one church. In fact, the headline says one voice, one's church, like it was a typo. It says one voice, one's church, one nation, right? But what I picked up on in particular was that language, and it rankled me right away, right? See, because I have a political party, Uncle. It's satirical, right? We never ran in Justice Gardens before, but we have a mantra. It's perhaps the most important mantra, which is there's only one member because there can only be one leader. Right? So, but here's Moxie calling for the church to come together, right? Like as a monolith in the country. One of his goals or his aims of this administration is to bring all of the Christian churches together, like in one body. But like you say, are they prepared to acknowledge? You
got to do some housekeeping. You see, even the Pope apologized for slavery. Right after I wrote this is when the Pope made the apology for enslavement. Right? So genocides and eradication during colonialism, systemic religious persecution, murder, torture, forced transfers, cultural genocide, child separation. This all comes under the purview of the church.
Right. And number 5, systemic child sexual abuse and institutional cover-ups, right? And I want to say from enslavement, right, up into sort of when the church was the moral arbiter, right? But even within that space, we're hearing countless stories coming from North America of the discovery of bodies. And
so decry that.
Yeah.
Speak out against that. You understand?
Yeah. And understand how it impacts our lives today. So when Moxie says in this article, like our priority is addressing social ills and sexual and physical violence to children.
You causing social ills. You understand? So my whole thing was, we want to go after Sabas, we want to go after Leslie, the honorable members of Parliament, of the Cabinet, right? In this piece, I also spoke to the fact that if we're going to speak out against gambling, speak out against all gambling.
Yeah.
Speak out against casino gambling too, if that's what you say is the problem. Right? Now, I know I've spoken to other people since I put this out, and they say, hell, you know, the Numbers House is more of a predatory structure versus the casino. Well, we can't even go in the casinos. So let's just start there.
Yeah.
Right? So,
but also the argument is inane, right? Not just the casino itself, but the way that the casino functions in our country is also problematic and perpetuates a plantation model where the casino takes 90% of what's produced by the people here.
It's a big vacuum.
Yeah.
You understand? So if we're serious about, if we're saying, first of all, again, the church struggles to even show where gambling is a sin in Scripture. It struggles to do that because there's no one verse that says gambling is a sin.
All right.
And then the verse that they use, and I'm just going through my article to pull up what I said.
First Theologians 5 and 22.
For First Thessalonians, right?
Right, yeah.
And what does it say?
It says, abstain from all appearance of evil.
So we can't stop at gambling using that verse.
Yeah, like be very upset at the people who don't stop at the stop sign.
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The reality is the neo-colonial system that we cloak ourselves behind is evil.
Mm-hmm.
The systems that we continue to hold up and perpetuate that work against us is evil.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? We inherited an evil system to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So I'm just saying to the Bahamas Christian Council, to Pastor Mario Moxie, to any pastor, if the relevance of the church is of him, then we have to have broader conversations. We can't just nitpick at Sabas and Leslie. And furthermore, the whole idea of gambling being a sin is kind of irrelevant after you made it legal.
Mm-hmm.
Now they'll say, but the people voted against gambling becoming illegal. Let me.
Yeah.
So my retort to that was, well, it's the same people who voted in the government that betrayed them in that way, right? So the people. I also have another piece where I'm going to talk to the people, because the people are also hypocritical, because they didn't vote against gambling. They voted against the regulation of numbers, because the payout is less.
Yeah,
is what some people were saying.
And the question said, "Do you want to regulate it?"
Right. So they wasn't against gambling. It was against regulation of gambling. And if they really were serious about, or they was upset about the fact that the Perry Christie and the PLP ignored them, then they wouldn't have put them back in power.
Well,
you understand? And now they'll say, "Well, that was Perry Christie," but it was still the PLP.
Jerome Fitzgerald was still there.
Yeah, okay, he's still here, right?
Still the PLP.
Okay, so all I'm saying is, let's just have real conversations in this country, because the country need healing.
Yeah.
You understand?
It needs honest.
Some of these arguments that we trying to come up with to justify why we exist is nauseating to me at best.
Yeah.
You understand? Because at the end of the day, we have real issues in this country.
Well, when I talk about the space that the political class occupies, right? I would say for the last 20 years, particularly as an advocate, we have not been governing a country. We've been managing a plantation economy to the detriment of all of the other things that come along with human life, right? We've had no real psychological, mental, or emotional or social programming post-Dorian. The biggest, the largest, the most devastating natural or unnatural weather or climate event in the country, where we still have numbers thrown around, like 2,000 people missing, right?
Yeah.
Unable to be declared, right? And so we've had no attention to the, so in fact, you wouldn't even remember that we had a pernicious drug era, the effects and symptoms that we're still living through, and the programming is faded away.
Well, crack babies became crack parents and crack grandparents.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we're dealing with.
And we don't have the health, we don't have the medical and the health or the psychological programming to assist people, facilitate people improving their lives.
Yeah. So I'm not against the Bahamas Christian Council. Let's just be clear. I'm not against Pastor Mario Moxie. I am against people cursing and carrying on to prove a point. And that happened in this instance. That's kind of what sparked me to even write this. Yeah. Because I put myself in Pastor Mario's shoes, and metaphorically, and I also put myself in the shoes of people who may have issues. And I said that there's a lot of trauma that hasn't been dealt with. And when you see people acting out, some people sing it for their supper, that's true. But you also got people who have been traumatized by the church. Like, have that conversation.
I think it's important for the church to acknowledge the weight that it actually holds in people's individual lives, right? Like, so because Moxie has defined the church as a monolith, right? Like, this is sort of the thing that is larger than the building itself, right? It's also important for them to understand the space that they occupy, how it impacts people, and how being in that space, right, being in the space that they occupy, but feeling a profound lack of their presence there or a lack of space for you there is so traumatic.
See, the attitude of the church at large is very arrogant. Because if you don't follow the narrative that they have put forth, you're pagan. You're a cult. Right? You're not addressed as a human being. So when you get cussed out after you've done that, understand why people might be cussing you out.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You propagate mistranslation. You propagate, and I'm saying this because as a Calhoun of the Holy Coptic Church, we don't just read the Bible in English. We read it in the languages that they were revealed in. And it's a different story. It's a different narrative. It's an African story. Now, if this monolith is going to come together and look at Scripture the way it was intended to be looked at, then we could have a conversation. But if all you're going to do is push the narrative of Rome and Greece, then what you're doing is creating social ills.
It's historically inaccurate. I wouldn't say it's spiritually inaccurate.
Of course, it has to be spiritually inaccurate because it is the spirituality of our oppressors. So how could that ever bring about salvation for a people you physically enslaved and then now you spiritually and mentally enslave?
I want to say I feel that, right? Because the more and more people say that they are Christian, we are a Christian nation, they cling to the church, but the more and more people are doing foolishness on the road. Like, I see the behavior as a response to personal crisis, right? Financial crisis, a lack of clarity, emotional and psychological crisis, especially if you're taking care of dependents, juvenile dependents and elderly, right, dependents. And people are, I want to say, we spend so much time worshiping money that we have no time for understanding who we are.
Yeah, the reality of the situation is because we have not taken the time to fully appreciate what Scripture is truly trying to say to us. What the Greeks and the Romans successfully did is they created a narrative that allows for their perverse ways to become normalized. Let me give you some examples of things that we see in the Bible that we just don't really question. God didn't protect Abel. He allowed Abel to get killed. But he protect Cain. Anybody who kill you, I can put a curse on them or 7 times, etc., right? God sent a flood because people was wicked. The person he saved, the first thing he did was went and get drunk. Noah. Right? God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. The people he saved, the first thing they do was had incest. Lot with his 2 daughters. Right? I could go on and on. Now, is that the way it was originally written? No. It wasn't originally written that way, but that's the way the Greeks and the Romans wrote it. So that when you are reading it and you are accepting that as actual Scripture, guess what begins to happen in your society?
That sort of rotten decay takes root.
That same behavior.
Takes root, yeah.
I'm a good person, but I could get drunk. I'm a good person, but I could still touch my
children.
Listen,
Noah, the ark was a spaceship. Noah needed a drink after he realized what had happened to him. That's how my pastor tell me it, man.
So, for the Holy Coptic Church, what we're saying is the Bible is not the problem. The mistranslation and the misinterpretation is the problem. And I think Pastor Mario and others in the Bahamas Christian Council would be open to this conversation, and I'm sure that they do look at the Bible outside of English, but we got to teach it so that it could actually have the effect that it's supposed to have on the people, and we have to push aside those things that weren't supposed to be there in the first place.
Listen, I want to say I feel in you, right? I spend from 5 to 18
right
at Methodist Summer Camp, right? And for me, something have to be wrong with how you all interpreting this book and these experiences that you're having, because how could you read the book read the book in communion, right, with your church family, and not understand that empathy, right, like trying to fully what somebody is going through, to be able to know how to handle them, not to justify it as good or bad, not to say, right, like, I don't care that you believe the world is flat. I want to know why you believe the world is flat. So, for me, how are you all interpreting this thing, and you didn't come out of it with empathy is the answer?
Well, if you understand how the book was actually, it's a military codex, right? It was used to actually invade indigenous lands, to gain resources, and to ultimately control those lands, which is what they've successfully done, right? The first wave of their army are called missionaries.
Because they're on a mission.
For Ares, the god of war.
Ah, yeah.
You understand? Also called Mars.
Yeah.
You understand? We need to know these things if the church is to become relevant, because what's happening is people are leaving the church because they say, well, the church lying to me. I ain't reading the Bible because the Bible is a lie. And then they go into the street because they say, well, the street keeping it real. Yeah, but keeping it real have us catching diseases or being shot and killed or being put in jail. You understand? So the church has to now take stock of what it needs to do to become relevant again. Tell the truth. Don't tell the narrative. Tell the truth.
And I want to say, this is not happening in a vacuum, right? This is happening at a time when I think, this is my opinion, where the political class is demanding prominence, right? Like the political class is demanding that everything rotate around them, right? Like your definition, your interpretation of things are based on what we tell you, not what you believe it is, right? And so the church is fighting for dominance or relevance at a time where the other social systems are not, because I can't say they're ignoring them, they're very aware they're present, but are using them to prop up their own prominence. Right? And so for many people, for me, it's like, hey, y'all, BCC, y'all gonna keep getting played by the political class? Y'all gonna keep letting these people take advantage of you? Like, it's another instance of you may have won the battle, but you are losing the war. Your affiliation with the political class may give you religious credit or social credit in some spaces, but you are losing the war for the hearts of Bahamians,
hearts and souls of the people,
and people who identify as Christian.
But this is why the Messiah in the book of Matthew 23, he called the Bahamas Christian Council of his day hypocrites. You understand? And if you read Matthew 23, you'll understand what I'm saying. I don't have the time to go into it right now, but the point I'm making is that the message of the Messiah to the world is not being taught by the church. It's the message of the oppressors that have stolen the narrative, that have given us mistranslations. That's what's being taught. We talk more about Paul than we talk about the Messiah. You understand? And so that reality is now what the church has to face. And if they truly want to have one church, then we're going to have to expose what is not the church.
I'm looking at a situation near where I live, right? There's this really large piece of land. And two churches are on it. The different churches, they coexisting, I guess, relatively peacefully, right? One church is a Haitian migrant-centered church.
Right.
And the other, I'm not quite sure what the denomination is. And every time I drive past that lot, all I could think about is how many beds, like what housing can look like, right? And then I say to myself, well, Erin, you got to explore Haitian culture more to see the value that the community gets from this church, right?
Yeah.
Whether they negotiate with their church about how space should be used and resources should be allocated.
Right, and that's another aspect. So the church, that is the relevance of the church today, whereby there are churches feeding people, there are churches giving clothes, there are even churches that have helped to build subdivisions, right? But you don't have to go to church to do that.
Yeah.
You understand? That is the only way church has been to remain relevant, is by just being social. But scripturally, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because you're giving me King James, you're giving me Latin Vulgate, you're giving me Greek Septuagint. You understand? And you're not looking at it through the people. The first country that is actually mentioned in this book is Ethiopia. Do we talk about Ethiopia in church? Is Ethiopia a prominent part of our liturgy? You understand? So we gotta get back to the reality of what Scripture actually is about, with regard to understanding that the word Bible itself, it means Egyptian papyrus. Why was Jesus sent to Egypt to be protected from Herod? But you don't want to go to Egypt. You calling it pagan. I mean, no, the word wasn't Egypt originally, it was Kemet. But the point I'm making is that when we start to see people lashing out at our political leaders, our religious leaders, right? The religious leaders need to also appreciate the fact that they are part of institutions that have harmed us.
Yeah. And you got to acknowledge that.
They built their institution on it.
And when we say have harmed us, right? Plenty of y'all are protecting pedophiles and sexual predators, right? And emotional predators, and psychopaths, and sociopaths, right? Like, you got to do the work as well. The same way we demand that the police force police itself properly. The same way we demand that the 33 police itself properly is the same way, and I think with the same right, we have to demand you all police yourselves. But I think more importantly, those who take on the cloth have forgotten.
Yeah.
They have forgotten.
Or just never learned.
Right? The space you hold in the hearts of Bahamians who identify as Christian. And you can't be like these politicians saying, well, the people who do badness, let them do badness. No.
Yeah.
That's not your job.
Right.
And it's your job to tell the politicians to stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's your job to tell the politicians to catch themselves.
See, if you remain scripturally sound, you just say less. Once you have scripture underneath whatever it is that you're trying to say to people, then it's not about you anymore. It's about the scripture.
Yeah.
But because you don't have a hold on scripture, it got to be about you.
Yeah.
You understand? So in this instance, we're talking about gambling, but they can't find one verse to say gambling is a sin.
What about the one who said don't waste your talents? I only asking. I don't.
That doesn't speak
specifically and explicitly
to gambling. That's all I'm saying.
I got you.
I'm not saying gambling is a good thing. I'm saying the same way gambling could be predatory, so are fast foods. So is alcohol.
So is sugar.
So is sugar.
I mean, sugar is deadly.
Yeah, you're only supposed to have 25 grams of sugar a day.
And you're only supposed to eat it from naturally occurring sources, like the actual fruit.
Yeah.
Here's a text, Uncle, as we end the show. Brother Anku, why is Anku reading Greek mythology into the Bible? The Bible does not condone homosexuality. Dear texter, I would like to thank you for showing us your excellent use of the keyboard. Perhaps not an understanding of the words. Anku did not mention homosexuality. Are you suggesting that because he didn't mention it, he's condoning it?
Yeah, I don't.
Perhaps you've missed the point of the conversation. Text. He says they think both of us are running interference for the political class.
Okay.
The church is not called to answer to the public, but the God the church serves. You know, somebody said something.
And that's why I started the church by saying Satan is the God of this world.
Yeah.
In 2 Corinthians 4, verse 4.
I want to end the
Which
show
God do they serve?
with a quote from an article, Nassau Tribune, 24th of July, 2012. The caption, Public's views matters, not those of the pastors. Ivan Lux CEO Sebastian said yesterday he does not need the church's permission to run his business. Mr. Bastian, who heads the We Care Coalition, a group advocating the legislation of gambling, said church leaders are entitled to their opinions, but at the end of the day, it's the opinion of the public that matters.
Okay.
There you go. Cahoon.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I want you back, but you got your own time to fill, and I love it. I love it for joining me this morning.
I appreciate
Let's
it.
open up the space a little bit more.
I could come back, definitely.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Listen, Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Nuri is up next. It's going to be another Ling show. You guys stay tuned. Have a great day.
Family.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.